see the pieces are being put into place. It's not just gold. We find out that Russia's federal budget draft includes plans to acquire not just gold, platinum, and palladium, but for the first time ever announced by a central bank, silver. And it's the first time that the central bank has ever made a significant announcement in this regards. And, could it push it above 50? Yeah, why not? When you have stupidity to the degree that we have, suppression on the COMEX market, on the LBMA, yeah, it's rocket fuel. But they're predicting over the next 3 months a rise up to $38 and maybe even higher.
The global shift away from U.S. dollars and treasuries is accelerating, with many countries increasing their holdings of gold and other commodities. Andy Schectman, CEO of Miles Franklin, highlights that nations such as China, Russia, and Iran are leading this trend by buying large quantities of gold and reducing their exposure to U.S. assets. Schectman points out that this movement signals a significant change in the global financial system as countries seek to lessen their reliance on the dollar and shield themselves from economic and geopolitical risks. Central banks around the world have been purchasing gold at record levels, with over $1 trillion in acquisitions since 2022. Schectman stresses that this surge in gold buying is a strategic move by governments to strengthen their reserves and hedge against potential currency devaluations. As a result, there is growing speculation, echoed by Schectman, that gold could be revalued to much higher levels in the near future, possibly as soon as next year. Schectman and other financial experts believe the possibility of gold revaluation is becoming increasingly likely. Revaluing gold would enable central banks to address debt problems by raising the value of their reserves, a scenario that Schectman says could shock people. Such a move would not only disrupt global markets, but also shift financial power toward countries that have been steadily accumulating gold. Now, we'll show you the best clips of his latest interview, but first smash the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily videos.
Countries are tired of sanctions and the bullying, and they're trying to get out of the way of the West, and they're doing that by purchasing over $1 trillion of gold since 2022 while selling $1 trillion in treasuries. This is a trend that is unmistakable. When we talk about the countries in Project Enbridge, the ones that are moving to what I believe is really the big moment, and that is if indeed we see a common settlement currency come out of this meeting in October or in a few weeks here in Russia. It's noteworthy to note that all of the countries in Enbridge, China, Hong Kong, Thailand, UAE, they all run a current budget surplus, and all of them have been increasing their gold reserves. And instead of buying treasuries, this is what's called gold recycling, and they're storing their trade surpluses in gold instead of U.S. treasuries. This is huge. All of these things are going to factor in to this big moment. And it's also noteworthy to note that China, Hong Kong, and the UAE all have sophisticated precious metals markets. The one in Shanghai, the volume has now surpassed the COMEX dramatically with a 400% increase in volume over the past 6 months or less. It's now the second most actively traded market in the world. You can see the pieces are being put into place. It's not just gold. We find out that Russia's federal budget draft includes plans to acquire not just gold, platinum, and palladium, but for the first time ever announced by a central bank, silver. And it's the first time that the central bank has ever made a significant announcement in this regards. And, could it push it above 50? Yeah, why not? When you have stupidity to the degree that we have, suppression on the COMEX market, on the LBMA, yeah, it's rocket fuel. And maybe that's why we see the Citibank analyst, Max Layton, come out and say that, first of all, silver's up about 35% so far this year, but they're predicting over the next 3 months a rise up to $38 and maybe even higher. So all of these things are beginning to factor into into the global picture, and that discounts all the stupidity that we are seeing at home, where $167 million was just given to Lebanon, approved in aid, $385 million already this year, and yet we need to get congressional approval to approve additional aid to North Carolina at the same time, and they've gotten a fraction of that amount. It's unbelievable where this moron, the head of Homeland Security, what is it, Mayorkas, came out just on Wednesday, I think, and he said that they don't have enough funds in FEMA, that they've already spent more than $1.4 billion since the fall of 2022 to address the migrant crisis, and they expect another hurricane hitting a la tomorrow, but they don't have enough money to do it. And it's disgusting that we've given $1.4 million to illegal immigrants here, money taken from FEMA, and at the same time in an environment, and this is kind of just, I digress for a second, where it just seems that with this modern monetary theory BS that's all over the place, where we can spend money to a degree that no one's ever seen before, we can create a 100,000 in debt every second and $1 trillion every 100 days, which took 200 years to do the first time, that we don't even have enough decency and even a hollow gesture to stuff the coffers of organizations like FEMA so they can come in and help us when we need it most. It's just unbelievable that we give money all around the world and don't take care of our own. It's horrific.
In today's news recap, silver price struggles below 32 pivot. Will bulls push higher? Silver prices hovered at $31.85 on Monday, despite a strong surge in demand, particularly from the solar energy sector. The recent decline can be attributed to improved market sentiment. Investors are shifting focus away from safe haven assets due to easing concerns over a U.S. economic slowdown and optimism around China's stimulus efforts. Ongoing supply shortages are set to play a critical role in determining silver's future trajectory. According to the Silver Institute, global silver demand has outpaced supply for 3 consecutive years, with a projected deficit of 215 million ounces for 2024. This imbalance is driven by increasing industrial consumption and limited new mine production. Despite the rise in prices, production remains 62.8 million ounces below its peak in 2016. Additionally, the Bloomberg NEF report highlights that a broader shortage in key transition metals could further elevate silver prices. The report estimates a $2.1 trillion investment is required by 2050 to secure a stable supply of raw materials necessary for clean energy technologies. Without this investment, the costs of essential metals like aluminum, copper, and lithium could rise sharply by 2030. For now, the combination of rising demand and limited supply points to higher silver prices in the near future. As shortages deepen, competition for these limited resources may increase prices, especially if supply disruptions persist. Staying attuned to these market developments will be crucial for investors and industries relying on silver. This will help them navigate potential price volatility and secure long-term supply stability. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, smash the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on notifications so you do not miss out our daily recaps.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And I mean, there are signs all over the place. The Fed drops short-term interest rates down, but at the same time, we see the back end of the curve start to go up. And that to me is the market, or big money selling long-dated claims for the future delivery of dollars, which increases interest rates for the bonds. And this is not a good omen. This is at the same time, we see them buying gold and silver at a rate the world has never seen before. And I think that for a long time, we had, it seemed, this geopolitical cooperation. in particular in the price of oil and the price of gold, with the Saudis and with other countries. And it seems as though the markets are no longer discounting this geopolitical cooperation, at least in my mind, in terms of the price of oil and in terms of gold. And they are starting to separate themselves. We can look at a country like, for example, in this case, a country like Poland, who has now decided to continue to purchase gold. They're already at 420 metric tons. They have more gold now than the EU. And when you talk about what Adam Lipinski, the head of the central bank, said, is that he wants to get it up to as high as 20% of their foreign exchange reserves. And I want to remind people what Adam Lipinski said when asked recently, why is it that you buy gold? And he says, because gold will retain its value even when someone cuts off the power to the global financial system, destroying traditional assets based on electronic accounting records. Now, of course, we don't assume that this will happen, but as the saying goes, forewarned is forearmed. When you hear things like this, it becomes very, very important. We're seeing the breakout of gold in Swiss francs, which is a very important confirmation. Because especially in terms of other currencies where we've seen gold break out in most currencies, but the Swiss franc has been one of the world's top performing currencies this year and in years past. And a breakout in Swiss francs above moving averages is even more, monumentous. And it is, and it's happening. We're seeing countries like Iran who have increased their gold ownership and purchasing by 6 times this year compared to the same time last year. And there was an interesting article that came out about a hacking group that exposed documents from a company called Tandar Sara. I know I butchered the hell out of that name. But anyways, this company is involved in drone technology, and it's linked to Iran, to their military. And the hacked documents that came out, kind of like a WikiLeaks thing, said that Iran paid $1.75 billion in a deal for drones, and the payment was made with several tons of gold ingots. We're seeing a shift away. We're seeing a movement away from the West, a shift away from treasuries, a shift away from dollars, and a changing of the guard.
What do you think of Andy's take? Do you think Russia and China are ready to blow up the precious metals markets? Will America wake up to the fact that China is silently accumulating more gold? Post in the comments section down below your honest opinion and share with the stackers your concerns with the current situation. Thanks for watching. Now check this video right here because you'll love it. I'll see you on the other side.